What's the meanest thing someone said to you that wasn't supposed to hurt your feelings? When I was 18, I was a few weeks into a new relationship with a crush of mine. We were in the backseat of a friend's car making out for the first and last time in our relationship. She paused and looked thoughtful for a moment, and I asked her what she was thinking about. I'm trying to decide who I should pretend you are. That relationship came to a screeching halt right then and there. Oh boy, emotional scars. Dang, that's brutal as heck. I was a hairy girl, and I remember in 8th grade I was watching a school baseball game and a little girl looked at me and asked her dad, "Why does that girl have a mustache?" It wasn't really that thick, but it was noticeable. It did make me sad back then. Thankfully waxing. Had a nasty battle with throat cancer. Lost a ton of weight, 200 pounds. Lost my teeth. Face and neck are all wrecked and scarred. Hadn't seen my dad in some years and he flew in to visit. He actually walked past me not recognizing that it was in fact me. When I stopped him, his look of utter shock was something I'll never forget. He said, "Oh, son, I'm so sorry. It really devastated me. It's been a very tough road, but I have the best wife ever. She's been the cheerleader I needed and has filled my head with 'you look just fine and will you just stop thinking it's so noticeable and I think you are still handsome.' She was so good at it that I started to think I did indeed not look as bad as I thought. Then I got to see the unprotected reaction from my dad and the entire facade came crumbling down. I don't blame my dad. It was an honest reaction. The part that really hurt was when I talked to my wife after he went back and told her about this. I could see the storm clouds on her face as she realized what he had done. I asked her to be honest and she told me that yeah, I'm a freaking wreck. What was she supposed to do? Let me flounder or be my rock and help me get through it all? She told me one of the sweetest things too. She said I meant the through better or worse part. I still love you and you are still the same person, just with different packaging. It's weird to be both blessed and cursed at the same time. Frick, man. I want to give you a big bro hug so bad right now. Your wife rocks. BTW. My friend and I were both 16, talking to this guy trying to recruit us for this club in college, and he was trying to convince me to give her permission to travel abroad because he thought I was her mother. One day I was going to a quinceanera here in Mexico. I put some of my finest clothes. Then when I came down the stairs from my room, my cousin asked me, "When are you changing? It's getting late." I was freaking insecure about my clothes that whole quinceanera. I used to be involved in a karate class and I overheard my instructor saying something like, "I'm really proud of Desperothfault. She has improved a lot even though she has autism. I'm not autistic. It's okay. She's really nice and it's not like she has any friends." A new co-worker wanted to switch shifts but was a bit nervous. It was suggested they switch with me. I've been feeling fairly lonely lately and just ouch. My dad recently got a pretty good promotion at work. When he told me, I said, "I'm proud of you, Dad." His response, "Well, your approval isn't the one I need. Thanks, Pops." Yikes, seems like a classic defense mech. I don't know why my girlfriend is jealous of you when we hang out. I mean, look at you. She has no reason to be jealous. Ouch. Facebook photo equals me smiling. Friend tells me his mom thought my picture was hilarious. He said he told her that I like to screw around like that and make goofed faces. It was a normal picture. This one hurts. I don't think you're an appropriate friend for my children. I was 12. It was my best friend's mom. I had been friends with him and his sister since we were 4. We lived in a relatively upper class area at the time, and although my friend was really cool, his parents were really snobbish. I got that line right after my mom had to sell her business because of a divorce. I wasn't allowed to come over. They weren't allowed to speak to me, and that was around the time they started homeschooling, so I didn't even get to see them at school anymore. All because my family fell out of a social class they felt was necessary for their children's friends to be a part of. I just love how you don't care what you look like. Well, I worked really hard on my makeup, picking out my clothes, and doing my hair all for nothing, I guess. My friend told me that a girl told him in high school that I would be really hot if I actually tried, which was really irritating. BC, I was trying really hard. We always supported you when you were a kid even when we knew you'd never achieve. Yeah, that stuff really gets me motivated to get a better job. Yup, this kinda stuff puts me really down too. Really didn't expect you'd pass that test, Dad. I ran into an old high school friend at a concert when I was 30. He said, "Wow, time hasn't been kind to us." Well crap, dude. I thought I looked okay. Maybe he was feeling bad about himself and wanted you to throw him a bone. Either that or you're ugly as sin. Was discussing LED bulbs with my boss, converting from fluorescents, and he said we won't have to change the lights again for 15 years. I replied that if I am still changing light bulbs in 15 years I need to reevaluate my life. My about to retire 65 years old co-worker seemed quite sad about that statement. In 3rd grade at the end of the year all the students got a ribbon for being good at something. One kid got excellent at math, another great reader. The teacher went through all the subjects with every other student. I was last and anxiously awaiting what my ribbon would be for. When I go up to the front of the room to get my ribbon the teacher says most improved. My 8-year-old heart sank. Yeah, I'm aware the most improved awards are meant to encourage but they sound so horrible. They even give them out at my college. I was relieved it wasn't for me. A kid who was maybe 5'6" asked me why are you so fat, kids are blunt. And I was really fat. I don't think it was mean-spirited at all. I weigh a lot less now. Partially because that kid's comment really jarred me. So I guess it all shook out okay. Back when I was fat and my little sister was in grade school, I went to visit my family and she wrote me a bunch of notes to take with me back home. Among them was one that read, "Don't forget to lose weight." Sick. At the time I was kind of hurt but she was right. I needed to lose weight. And I did. So thanks for the reminder you little crap. LOL. My friend at work. "You're really hot but your face looks defeated." I mean, he's not wrong. I've had a rough life and I haven't slept in like 20 years. But still, I get that I'm scrappy and rough around the edges but it kinda hurt. Another co-worker. "You're hot in an evil villain kind of way." Thanks I guess. I have a scar going down my eye that everyone thinks is from brawling but it was actually from a toaster falling onto my face when I was drunk. Technically, I guess it was a brawl, and the toaster won. That second one is pretty cool. People always tell me that I'll find my way, paraphrasing from German, which always sounded like they had no idea what I could possibly achieve. Pretty frustrating. I had a crush on a girl and we became friends. One day she says to me, "You care for me so much. You're always there when I need you and you love me so much." Finally, my big moment. What followed destroyed me. Happy Mother's Day. Yes, it was Mother's Day. You're like a mother to me. Yes, I got mothers-owned. FML. That's incredible. Honestly though, you must be a pretty kick-ass friend. One of my ex-girlfriends, during sex once, was in the middle of dirty talk. She was wild and said, "Yeah, you shove that little dong in there." She said it in such a sexy way it took me a second to realize my life sucks. I meet a couple every few weeks for a threesome and the guy has a fairly girthy dong. Mine is okay but nothing special. So the girl always asks me to frick her anally because it can fit easier. Swings and roundabouts. My mum said whilst at Christmas dinner and the whole family there that the only thing she wished for when she was pregnant that I didn't come out ginger. And guess what I am? Thanks mother. My grandmother cried after she gave birth to my very red-headed aunt. My grandfather hates women, so he got 3 daughters and a gay son. Sometimes I believe in karma. I was showing an Asian-based colleague around our UK firm for the week and we went to our London site on the Wednesday. She met me at the train station and said, "I liked your clothes yesterday. Cold as ice." That line wouldn't be remotely out of place in a super hot fire video. 2 friends of mine, they're married, told me that I was the reason they had 2 kids. I'm a socially awkward, I guess, only child. Said in baby voice and patronizing tone, "Do you need another hug? Are you going to cry again?" Context: had a miscarriage few months prior, got an invite to a friend's baby shower day prior, was generally weepy and emotional the next day at work, unintentionally cried at work in front of my intern. She was sweet, supportive, gave me a hug. She knew what happened. Few hours later at lunch, a group of co-workers are cracking jokes. I laughed so hard I got teary-eyed, in front of everyone else, who did not know I had a meltdown hours prior. Intern drops that line on me. Jesus. I'm feeling a mix of sadness, disappointment, and anger just reading this. I spend a lot of time with you, which is weird, because you're kind of a weirdo and a C said by a friend. That's a genuine compliment. You're like a plant, nice to have around, but no one would care if you died. He'd been a totally normal friend until that point and it took me entirely off guard. He seemed genuinely confused as to how that could have been in any way hurtful and actually asked a mutual friend why I was crying afterward. I genuinely don't understand how he can be confused about why you're upset about that. It's even worse if it's from someone you considered a friend. I was working on my disability application, mostly because of physical issues stemming from nerve damage, 9 years ago and had a popular, well-liked social worker in my area helping me. He put on the application that I'm socially retarded because apparently me being socially inept is a disability and I should be happy he wrote that. It still fricks me up almost a decade later. You smile like a girl. I'm a boy. I don't think she meant it in a mean way, but I never go to know what she meant exactly. Dang, that was more than 15 years ago. I have no idea what that means either, honestly. My best friend's mom moved, and after not seeing her for 2 years she told me something along the lines of I didn't used to like you hanging around my son, but you've changed since I last saw you. You're welcome here anytime. I was insulted because it had only been 2 years and nothing really changed. She just didn't take the time to really talk to me before. On top of that, it was her son who came up with the bad ideas that used to get us in trouble. I'd call it mother bias. A few months ago I started calorie counting to lose weight, being morbidly obese most of my life. I told my grandmother on the phone, I live overseas, that I had already lost 40 pounds and all she says is that's so great. If you lose another 40 you could be pretty. She meant it as a compliment and encouragement, I know that, but gosh it stung. Grandmothers have a way of not caring too much about what they say. My sister gained like 15 pounds once when she was sick. It was a tiny pudge. Anyway, she went to pick my grandma up and the first thing my grandma said to her, after having not seen her for 2 years, "You've gained weight. I wonder if it's just that generation." When I was in college some friends were gossiping about how unattractive one of our female teachers was. One friend casually says, "Yeah, even Liturgy Loon wouldn't want to sleep with her." I don't know, but this remark kinda stuck with me. I was far from being a horn dog. Quite the opposite. Was she implying I have low standards? Why would I be seen as having low standards? Because I am unattractive enough to go after just about any woman in a beggars can't be choosers way? Did I simply come off as thirsty? I don't know, but in the end of the day she turned out to not be a great friend anyway. I am pretty sure whenever a joke like that was made it was about me. It was whenever I was around at least. I used to have a unibrow as a kid and one of my friends said you have a unibrow as a flat out observation. It hurts my feelings, but I decided not to think about it too much and grew out of it eventually. Friend of mine was joking and called me an acne filled celery stick. My acne and my underweight, super thin build are the things I'm most insecure about. Didn't even get a frickin' apology. This one hits home. I'm sorry you went through that. I know the feeling. "So we're hiring children now?" a woman shouted upon seeing me. "Yes, and also decrepit crones," I replied. Except I didn't. I kept my mouth shut. I was 22, working as a fresh help desk employee and she was a prominent head of a department I was sent to investigate a hardware issue. She was a woman well known for her condescending attitude towards employees. She probably thought she was being funny and not obnoxious at all. Karma returned to her several years later when she resigned facing heavy corruption allegations. Triumphant maniacal cackle. I got bullied a lot as a kid. I was also a happy-go-lucky kid as well. In elementary schools one of my biggest bullies walked up to me after school and plainly asked, "Why do you smile so much?" In that moment it didn't seem like a bully tactic, just a genuine question. Things kind of changed for me then and I wasn't really as happy-go-lucky anymore. Visually, I let the bullying get to me. I smiled less and danced less. Not sure why a single sentence changed my entire demeanor. I had some co-workers joke around about how I behaved like a robot. Another speculated it was because I played too many video games. It's one of my deepest fears though, that I've spent too much time alone. Sometimes I worry that all of the gaming, reading, and general wandering around by myself has changed me in some irreversible and damaging way, that it'll be very noticeable to everyone I meet and that I'll never really be able to connect with anyone because of it. Being really tall and skinny with a big head. The moment a random girl said I look like those bouncing head dolls. Dang girl, size always matters. That's okay, you could use the exercise. On a first date, when I told my date I walked to the restaurant, I left 20 minutes later. I, awkward female, made friends with a slightly younger, popular, attractive guy. It was a platonic thing, and there was absolutely no romantic attraction, but someone asked questions. He was frustrated that platonic friendships often get attacked, and said to me, "Can you imagine me dating you?" Oh, no hard feelings, but still. Same thing happened to me about a year ago. Genders reversed. Stung a bit more than it probably should have tbh. You're the whitest black guy I've ever met. I've heard this from most of the people I've met since adolescence. Needless to say, I'm not fond of people. You're like an Oreo, white on the inside but black on the outside. Ironically enough, I've heard this solely from black people. Guys don't look at you anymore. I'm happy. I had put on some weight when quitting cigarettes and even my face looked bloated. Before this, I turned heads constantly and my boyfriend, at the time, absolutely could not handle it. Have since lost him and the weight. Postpartum anxiety diagnosis. My mom said you need to stop showing your anxiety around daughter. This is going to affect her. Killed me, even though she was right. I feel like most people would love if they could turn off their mental disorders at will, especially things like anxiety or intrusive thoughts. I was hanging out with my sister and a mutual friend, talking about me, says I think he's attractive. Not like jump his bones but survivable. My sister just shook her head and looked at our friend like she was lying. Obviously sisters aren't supposed to find their brothers attractive, but she had always been very critical of the way I looked dressed and because of that I wanted to impress her, so that hurt. Car crashes are survivable. Falling out of a second story window is survivable. I'd never want my appearance to be compared to that. When I was in community college, my brother once said when you get to real college, he didn't mean it to be mean but it really hurt. I never did get to real college. I have an associate's degree. Me and my daughter was watching The Incredibles and she said I reminded her of Mr. Incredible after he gained all the weight. Definitely helped with the decision to get back in shape. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.